Shavua Tov, a good vach, and tomorrow night we start Rosh Chodesh of the month of Menachem Av, the month when our Father, as in Hashem, needs to comfort us. God willing, may it happen soon. There's a famous story of a very, very poor man who desperately needed money and approached the famous Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Raditchev to ask him for a blessing. And the Rebbe gave him a ruble, and he told him to buy a lottery in the Russian lottery, which would be in a couple of months, for an enormous amount of money. So, with lots of faith, he took the ruble, he went and he purchased a lottery ticket, and he returned home. On his way, it was a long journey, he had to spend the night in an inn, and in the middle of the sleep, he is rudely awakened by a nobleman who was sleeping in the same inn. And this nobleman had a dream that in this inn there is a Jew, and the Jew possesses the winning lottery ticket. So the nobleman's own ticket is worthless. Well, after such a dream, the nobleman tracked down the Jew, woke him up, and demanded that he give him his ticket or else he will beat him within an inch of his life. Now, having received a blessing from the Rebbe and a ruble from the Rebbe to buy a lottery ticket, this Jew was convinced he is going to win, so he's not going to sell it or give it. The nobleman offered him 1,000 gold coins in exchange for his ticket, in fact, and he will throw in his own ticket. After the Jew refused enough, the nobleman began to beat him until he couldn't resist, and he went through his pockets and he found the ticket. The nobleman took the ticket, then said, "I'm a man of my word." He gave him his ticket, and he gave him the 1,000 gold coins. So the beaten Jew returned home. He was a little disappointed that he didn't have the winning ticket, but at least he had 1,000 gold coins, and with that he was able to marry off his child, which was the whole concern to begin with. And to his shock, pleasant shock, 3 months later, turns out that he has the winning ticket. The ticket the nobleman gave him was actually the winning ticket. So, as far as that goes, he quickly ran back to the Rebbe to thank him for his blessings, and he was stunned by the outcome, and the Rebbe said, "I had to pray a lot so the mazel would work out that way, that the nobleman should dream that you have the winning ticket and give away his own actual winning ticket." Just along the lines of sometimes we think a certain way and we're convinced that this is not going to work because it wasn't according to our plan. I recently read a story of a chassid. His name was Rabbi Aaron Chazan. And he lived through the most difficult times of the communist regime, eventually did make his way to Israel. He merited to raise a beautiful family. But he was of the age to be drafted by the Russians into their army to fight the Germans. And in the Russian army, for a Jew, it was probably more likely that you'll be shot in the back by a fellow Russian soldier than you'll die at the hands of the Germans in war. It was extremely anti-Semitic, extremely dangerous. One day they were approaching a very flat battlefield, Russians against the Germans, and they were ordered to each soldier should dig out a foxhole because there's no other cover. And out of their holes, hopefully they'll shoot and hopefully they'll kill enough Germans to win that little battle. So, without hesitating, he went and he dug and he dug and he dug until he had a foxhole large enough for him. He climbs in, he sets up his rifle, when all of a sudden he feels a poke in the back. He turns around, there's a Russian with a rifle aimed at him. And he said, "Chazan, get out of the hole, I need it for myself. If you don't get out by yourself, I'll shoot you and then I'll take out your body." Without much of a choice, Mr. Rabbi Aaron Chazan gets out of the hole that he dug. In jumps the Russian soldier, sets himself up, and Aaron Chazan goes and digs himself, but there's a lot of pressure, it's getting late. He digs a very shallow hole and he tries to cram his body in. The battle begins, and there's many hours of shooting back and forth, and finally it's quiet, and he climbs out of his foxhole, unharmed, And he decides to go and look and see what's doing with the Russian who went into his foxhole. He walked over to the hole and he found a dead Russian who, a mortar, whatever, some kind of missile, something landed and directly took care of him. So when he was forced out of his foxhole, he wasn't too happy, but he put his faith in Hashem, and that was not misplaced. Our faith is never misplaced. Let's strengthen it and look forward to a wonderful 9 days. Have a great week.